Let's talk about something that sits at the very core of who we are, how we succeed, how we handle failure, and really, how we see ourselves. It's this one simple belief we hold about our own potential. And, it shapes our lives in ways we probably don't even realize.
So let me ask you this right off the bat. Are your abilities, your intelligence, your talents, are those things you're just born with, or are they things you can actually build? Your answer to that question, well, it puts you on one of two very, very different paths. And that's what we're going to dig into today.
Okay, so path number one. This path is guided by what's called a fixed mindset. This is the classic belief that our qualities, things like how smart we are or if we're good at art, are just carved in stone. You've either got it or you don't. Simple as that. It's the idea that your abilities are what they are, and there's not much you can do to change them.
But then there's the second path. This one is guided by a growth mindset, which is pretty much the exact opposite. This is the belief that your basic abilities are really just the starting point. They're things you can grow and cultivate through your own efforts. It's not that talent is a myth, but that potential is something that can be unlocked with hard work, smart strategies, and just good old-fashioned dedication to learning.
All right, so let's really get into this. We've got these two paths, these two mindsets, and the one you choose to adopt, well, that choice determines which road you're going to walk down, and it impacts pretty much everything, from your job to your personal life.
So here's where it all starts. It's that voice inside your head. On the fixed path, that voice is saying, my intelligence is a fixed trait. So every single challenge you face becomes a test of that trait. But on the growth path, that voice says, my intelligence can grow and change. And all of a sudden, a challenge isn't a scary test anymore. It's an opportunity. And this is where those two paths really, really start to split apart. How do they help us handle the stuff that's just an inevitable part of life? Like failure and criticism. Let's take a look. But first, before we compare them, we kind of have to clear the air and debunk the myths that keep people stuck on that fixed path. Myth number one, you're either born with it or you're not. That's just not how it works. Practice and effort can create incredible results. Myth two, failure means you're not smart. Nope, it's just part of learning. And finally, the myth that effort is useless if you don't have natural talent. That completely ignores the incredible power of just sticking with it. And this table, this is what it looks like day to day. You can see the pattern, right? The fixed path is all about playing defense, protecting your ego, defending what you've already got. The growth path, though, it's all about offense. Every single challenge, every piece of feedback, even a total failure, it all becomes fuel to get better.
If you can truly let this sink in, it's an absolute game changer. Failure gets a total rebrand. It's no longer this final judgment on who you are. It's just a necessary ingredient for getting better. And that one little shift in how you see things can change your entire relationship with taking risks.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds like a nice psychological trick, a little positive thinking. But it's so much more than that. This whole idea is actually grounded in the biology of our own brains. The science that proves the growth mindset is real is a concept called neuroplasticity. And what it means is that our brains aren't fixed hardware. They're more like adaptable software. Every new thing you learn, every time you push yourself, you can literally rewire its circuits. This isn't just a metaphor. It's straight up biology.
So how does this rewiring actually happen? Well, it's this awesome loop. When you take on a challenge, your brain builds new connections between your neurons. At first, that pathway's kind of weak, like a little dirt path. But the more you persist, the more it becomes a well-traveled superhighway. That feeling when a skill finally clicks, that's your brain physically changing. Hard work isn't just a virtue, it's a biological command to grow.
And maybe the biggest news of all is that we aren't stuck. If you're listening to this and recognizing a bit of that fixed mindset in yourself, guess what? You can change it. A growth mindset isn't something you either have or you don't. It's something you build. So let's look at the toolkit.
So here it is, your practical toolkit for building that mindset. And notice something? All of these actions, embracing challenges, learning from failure, asking for feedback, focusing on effort, they all share one thing. They shift your focus away from proving how talented you are and toward improving your abilities. And that shift right there, that's the entire engine of growth.
Now, to be fair, there's a reason people stay on the fixed path. It can feel safe, It gives you a sense of security in the things you already know you're good at. It helps you avoid that sting of failure. But that comfort comes at a huge price. It puts a ceiling on your potential for growth.
So, if we get the science and we have the strategy, what's the destination?
What does choosing the growth path actually get you in the end?
Well, the benefits of walking down this growth path are huge. It's not just about feeling better, it's about actually performing better. When you see your abilities as something that can expand, you become more resilient, you become more persistent. You basically turn into a lifelong learner, which has a direct impact on your success. It's the difference between trying to protect who you are today and becoming someone who's always evolving.
And that brings us right back to where we started, but hopefully with a much deeper understanding. The two paths are clear, and the choice really does rest on a simple but incredibly powerful belief. So the final question is for you. What will you choose to believe about your own potential?